When news of Ozzy Osbourne's health struggles began to spread, fans around the world feared the day would come when the Prince of Darkness would no longer take the stage, but no one was ready for the whispers about the way he had planned to say his final goodbye. And the truth behind his funeral wishes is not just surprising, it is something that could change the way people see him forever. Because this was not the grand rock star exit most would expect. Instead, it was quiet, deeply personal, and filled with meaning that only those closest to him could understand. And the first hints of these wishes came from little things he said in interviews, moments when he would smile in a way that seemed to hide more than it revealed, moments when Sharon, sitting beside him, would glance at him with an expression that told a story without words. And it makes you wonder what exactly he told her in those private conversations late at night, when the world was asleep and the noise of fame faded away, because this was not about fame, money, or a public image. It was about something far more human, something that made even the wildest rock star in the world want to be remembered in a way that was gentle and sincere. And as people close to him have hinted, there is something almost haunting about the details, something that makes you feel like he wanted to leave behind a message not just for his family, but for anyone who ever felt misunderstood. And you start to imagine what that moment will be like, the quiet room, the select few allowed to be there, the absence of cameras, the sound of soft music that might have meant something to him in a way we can never fully know. And you realize this is not just a funeral plan, it is a piece of his soul carefully prepared for the moment he takes his final bow. But the more you hear about it, the more questions appear, because if he was such a public figure his whole life, why would he choose such a private goodbye? What does he want to protect? And what does he fear people might misunderstand? And when you think about how Sharon has stood by his side through every storm, through the chaos of fame, the battles with illness, and the endless gossip, you start to see how this farewell is not just his, it is hers too, because she will be the one to carry out his wishes, to protect the meaning behind them, and to decide how much the world is allowed to know. And maybe that is where the real mystery lies, in the space between what the public will see and what will remain hidden forever. And until that day comes, all anyone can do is wait, wonder, and hold on to the hope that when the truth is revealed, it will be as powerful and unforgettable as the man himself. The private funeral details Ozzy Osbourne kept to himself until his last days are the kind of secrets that make people lean in and listen more closely, because for a man whose life was lived in front of cameras, this was one part of his story he guarded fiercely. And when small hints began to surface, they came like whispers from people who had been in his inner circle for decades, describing choices that seemed almost out of character for someone known for wild performances and shocking headlines. Because instead of planning something loud and full of spectacle, Ozzy imagined something stripped down to its core, a goodbye that felt more like a quiet conversation than a grand event. And those who know about it say there are details so personal that even many family members might only learn about them when the moment finally comes. Details that show a side of him that most fans have never seen, a side that belonged only to Sharon and the small handful of people who shared his most private moments. And you cannot help but wonder how long he had been thinking about this, whether it was in the back of his mind during those nights when he would sit quietly after a show, whether he spoke to Sharon about it in the kitchen over tea, or whether these plans were written down somewhere hidden in a drawer waiting to be found when the time was right. Because what makes this even more intriguing is that these arrangements are not just about saying goodbye, they seem to carry a message, a statement that will only be fully understood by those who attend, something so specific that it will make them feel like he is speaking directly to them from beyond the grave. And while no one is saying exactly what that is, The way people talk about it makes it sound like the kind of moment that could leave even the toughest rocker in tears, and the secrecy around it only deepens the mystery, because if this was simply about music or honoring his career, it could have been public, but this is different. This feels like it has a layer of intimacy that could only come from a man who has seen both the glory and the cost of fame. And you start to think about how much courage it takes to create something so private in a world that expects everything from you. And you can imagine Sharon holding on to these details like fragile glass, knowing she will one day have to bring them to life exactly as he wanted. And maybe the most haunting part is knowing that when it happens, the world will only hear fragments, never the full truth, because some goodbyes are not meant to be shared with millions, and that is exactly how Ozzy wanted it. There is something deeply moving about the thought of Ozzy Osbourne leaving behind a mysterious gift meant only for Sharon, a gift so personal that no one else will ever truly understand its full meaning. And when you first hear about it, your mind begins to race with questions, because this is not about money or fame or even something you can show off. It is about the quiet kind of love that survives decades of chaos, scandal, and battles that most couples could never survive. And those who know just a little about it say that Ozzy planned this gift carefully, making sure it would carry a message only Sharon could. Fully read, almost like a secret code between two people who have lived every high and low together. And the more you imagine it, the more the possibilities swirl in your mind. Maybe it is something tied to the very beginning of their love story, a reminder of a time when they were just two people chasing a dream. Maybe it is something that recalls a promise made long ago, or maybe it is something far simpler, but so loaded with emotion that it could break her heart and comfort her at the same time. And the most haunting detail is that he never showed it to her while he was alive, choosing instead to keep it hidden until after his passing, as if he wanted this one last surprise to be waiting for her when the world around her would feel the most empty. And you can almost picture the moment she will open it, her hands trembling, her eyes filling with tears before she even sees what is inside, because by then she will already know it is from him. And the weight of that realization will carry every memory they ever shared, from the bright lights of their biggest successes to the quiet nights when it was just the two of them against the world. And you cannot help but wonder why he chose this particular gift. What made it so important that it had to be saved for this one moment, and why he was so certain that it would speak to her louder than any words could. And while no one outside their closest circle knows what it is, the way people talk about it makes you feel like it is not just an object, but a piece of him, something that holds his voice, his love, and perhaps even a part of his soul. And until the day Sharon receives it, it remains locked away in the shadows of their shared life, waiting for that moment when it will become the most precious thing she has ever held. And that thought alone is enough to keep the world guessing, because whatever it is clear that it is more than a gift. It is the final chapter in a love story that has already defied the odds. What makes this secret gift so powerful is the mystery behind why Ozzy Osbourne chose this one special item to leave for Sharon, because it was not something flashy or expensive, but something that held a meaning so deep that it could only come from decades of shared moments, struggles, and unspoken feelings. And when you think about it, it's strange how something so simple can carry so much weight. Yet those who have heard hints say that this gift is connected to a part of their life that many fans have never seen, a side of their relationship that was private, raw, and full of quiet strength. And it makes you wonder what memories this object holds, what secret stories it could tell if it could speak, because Ozzy was a man known for his loud personality and shocking antics. But underneath it all, he had a tenderness reserved only for Sharon, a tenderness that this gift somehow captures perfectly, and the suspense builds because the more people talk about it, the more it feels like This gift is not just a thing, but a symbol, a key to understanding something important about both of them, something that changes how we remember their story, and you start to imagine what kind of moment led Ozzy to decide on this gift. Was it a late-night conversation, a quiet afternoon in their home, or a sudden realization that time was running out and he needed to leave her something that could speak when he no longer could? And what if this gift was meant to comfort her in the hardest days ahead, to remind her of the promises they made and the love they shared, even when the world felt cold and unkind and you feel the weight of that choice? The courage it takes to think so far ahead, to prepare a message that will outlive yourself. And the curiosity only grows because no one knows exactly what this gift looks like or how Sharon will react when she finally holds it. And that moment will be private, shielded from the world, like the love behind it. And maybe that is why Ozzy kept it a secret until the very end, because some things are too precious to share with everyone, meant only for one person's heart, and the idea that this gift is a secret language between two souls who have been through everything together makes it even more haunting, more real, and more beautiful, because it shows that even in his final days, Ozzy Osbourne was thinking about how to reach Sharon in the most personal way possible, to give her something that would carry his presence long after he was gone. And as the days pass and the truth about this gift slowly comes closer to the surface, the world waits with bated breath to see what kind of story it will tell, what kind of memories it will unlock, and how it will change the way we understand the man behind the legend and the woman who stood by his side through it all. What makes this secret gift even more unforgettable is how it connects to the deepest moments of Ozzy and Sharon's love story, because their journey together has been like no other, filled with passion, challenges, and a bond that survived storms many would have given up on. And when you think about it, this gift is more than just a thing. It is a piece of their shared history, wrapped in memories that only they can understand. And the idea that Ozzy chose this gift to tell a part of their story that words could never fully explain adds a powerful layer of meaning, because their relationship was never just about the bright lights and the fame. It was about the quiet, everyday moments that built a lifetime of love. And those moments, though small, became the foundation for something unbreakable, and you start to imagine what this gift might represent. Maybe it is a reminder of a promise they made long ago when they first met, or a symbol of the battles they fought together, the times they cried, laughed, and held each other through the hardest nights. And the suspense grows because this gift holds a secret message meant only for Sharon's heart, a message that says more than any public statement ever could, something that carries the weight of their past and the hope for her future without him. And when you think about the ups and downs they faced, addictions, health struggles, endless rumors, it becomes clear how precious this gift must be, because it honors the real, messy, beautiful love that stayed strong even when the world tried to tear them apart. And the mystery lies in how this gift will make Sharon feel when she finally sees it, how it will remind her of the man behind the legend, the man who loved her fiercely and wanted to leave her something that would keep their connection alive. And the way those closest to them speak about it suggests it is more than just sentimental. It is a piece of their soul, a memory frozen in time. And the thought that this gift holds a private story that no one else will ever know makes it all the more haunting and powerful, because sometimes the most important stories are the ones left untold. And this gift is Ozzy's way of sharing the story he kept in his heart, a story of love that never gave up, even when everything else seemed lost. And as Sharon holds this gift in her hands, it will be like holding his spirit, a final reminder that no matter what happens, their love will live on in a way that the world may never fully understand, but that she will carry with her forever. And the suspense remains. What exactly is this gift? How will it change Sharon's life? And how will it shape the way we remember one of rock music's most unforgettable couples? Because in the end, it is not just about the fame or the music. It is about the love that stayed real through it all. And that love is what makes this secret gift so deeply moving and unforgettable.